During the past number of years, Métis Nation leadership has been on a determined path forward, focused on achieving economic opportunity and prosperity for Canada's 452,000 Métis. Economic growth and job creation are among the Government of Canada's top priorities, especially when it comes to supporting Aboriginal peoples, as seen in the federal framework for Aboriginal economic development. However, it hasn't been until recently that the Métis Nation has started to make significant progress, which began with the September 2008 signing on Parliament Hill of the Métis Nation Protocol Agreement, involving the federal interlocutor for Métis and non-status Indians, Chuck Strahl, and Métis National Council President Clément Chartier. Minister Strahl described the historic signing as a major milestone in Métis federal relations.
Built on that relationship, a growing level of trust between our two governments, if you will, the personal relationship, which I think is very, very healthy, and a degree of honesty on the issues.
And I know with your leadership, your commitment, that we do have a great potential in moving forward and achieving the things that we've wanted to achieve.
Protocol was a commitment by all sides to work together on issues impacting the Métis Nation: education and skills training, fiscal transfers, and of course, economic development, which is the area where most progress has been made to date. The multilateral work under the Métis Nation Protocol has enabled the Federal Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, his counterparts from the 5 westernmost provinces, and Métis leaders to join together at 2 Métis Economic Development Symposiums in 2009 and again in 2011. The symposiums, held with ministers, Métis leaders, and industry representatives, examined ways to collaborate on areas ranging from procurement, access to capital for Métis entrepreneurs, labor force development, and partnerships with industry. The MED's 2011 communiqué called for the development of a Métis economic development strategy by 2013 to deal with these issues. This set the stage for a series of regional engagement sessions with particular emphasis on building relationships with industry. Construction giant Ledcor Industries partnered with the Métis Nation on this initiative because Ledcor recognized the strong business opportunities that existed by tapping into a strong and growing skilled Métis workforce.
From our point of view, it's huge value in these partnerships. It's a necessity to be competitive, to create these partnerships so that we can influence our abilities to execute work, and you as partners can influence your abilities to share in the work within your footprint of your territory.
Regional engagement sessions were held across the Métis Nation homeland, beginning in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, Grande Prairie, Alberta, Winnipeg, and Vancouver. These meetings were followed by a Métis Nation Industry Roundtable held in Vancouver in March 2013. The important dialogue and recommendations coming out of the regional engagement sessions and the roundtable would prove invaluable in forging elements of the Métis economic development strategy. In 2013, President Chartier met with the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, Bernard Valcourt, to renew the Métis Nation Protocol. It was an acknowledgement of the solid progress that's been made toward development of an economic development accord. The signing also recognized the mutual interest of both parties to extend discussions with the 5 westernmost provinces on a Métis economic development strategy and accord. As the Métis Nation edges closer to a Métis economic strategy, it was important to once again go out to the grassroots for another round of regional engagement sessions. Stops were made in Saskatoon, Edmonton, Fort McMurray, Vancouver, and Winnipeg as the last engagement session before Métis Economic Development Symposium 3. While past meetings concentrated on gathering the facts, these latest sessions were an opportunity to review and validate the recommendations heard to date, while sharpening the move toward a long-term Métis economic development strategy. The Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce says the private sector is looking forward to doing business with Métis.
And I think the evolution of a strategic plan makes great sense nationally and certainly in Saskatchewan. This is the land of opportunity in this province for all of our citizens, and our business people need to step up and to take advantage of it. And many are, and many Métis businesses are as well, of course, which is great news.
I think You know, Métis have a strong base of entrepreneurial culture. They're engaged across the province in business, and we have the opportunity to grow, you know, as the economy grows.
Jordy McCaffrey with Gabrielle Dumont Institute says Métis institutions are critical in maximizing the value of educating and training for Métis.
What we do is we provide skill development and educational opportunities that enable Métis people to go and get jobs and attach themselves to the labor market to create wealth. Many of those people who take educational programs through Gabrielle Dumont Institute go on to become small business owners, and we know that small business has a vital role in driving the economy.
Whatever economic development strategy develops, that the sustainability of each Métis Nation's commercial financing arm has to be taken into account.
For industry leaders looking to access a strong and growing Métis workforce, the opportunities are endless.
Partnerships with industry are very important. They're actually critical in a sense that the resource development that's happening in British Columbia right now is changing the landscape of not only the province, but engagement with Métis people. So it's very important that we know them well, they know us well, and that we create really strong relationships.
The crane industry is something new to partner with Aboriginal groups, and we believe that there'll be huge economic benefits to the Métis, not just in a profit sharing component, but also in employment and training opportunities, as well as if we get long-term contracts, we're looking at Métis Nation to own equipment with NCSG.
Whether it's the crane industry, oil and gas sector, Métis participation in major economic and resource development projects, or the service industry, Métis are ready.
The Métis have always been a working class people. We've always been involved in commerce through economic development. We create employment. Through these partnerships, we deliver monies back for programming, for housing, for a number of infrastructure projects. So for us, it's a win-win situation by developing the relationships we have with industry, but as well as being able to direct our own destiny.
The signing of a Métis Economic Development Accord will not only strengthen the Canada-Métis partnership, it'll solidify the Métis Nation's destiny in establishing an economic development strategy. It'll help to ensure that the work doesn't stop here and the focus remains on the 4 priority areas: increasing business development, enhancing Métis procurement opportunities, looking for ways to strengthen the Métis labor force, and supporting the role of Métis institutions in advancing economic development. 4 key priority areas that are starting to be clearly recognized by industry leaders such as Manitoba Hydro.
About 18% of my workforce at Manitoba Hydro, which is about 6,400 people, are Aboriginal. About 2/3 of those are Métis people. So we've grown that by about 200% in the last decade. So to me, that's a success, and we want to continue to build on that success.
The progress being made with Manitoba Hydro is merely the beginning. Looking ahead, Canada and the Métis Nation will seek the participation of other industry leaders and the 5 westernmost provinces over the next 5 years to encourage them to recognize that opportunity awaits and that Métis are open for business. Destiny is now.